That record held now with the camera completely
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton. This, as always, is Andy.
Hello. I'm full of cold, everyone, so so you know.
Have you caught a cold since this morning?
No, I had a cold this morning. It's just gotten worse since then.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair play. Yeah, for people that don't know, and why would you know, we recorded a podcast this morning as well. So we've been raking them out at the moment. So yeah.
It's true. But then again, we were off for like a couple of weeks because I was off gallivanting. So
well, yeah, you had to go to America and do all that sort of stuff, didn't you?
Yes, needs must.
Go get hitched. Oh, dearie me. By the way, congratulations.
Oh, thank you kindly, yes.
There we go. It's written down now. It is recorded that I have said congratulations. So
it's true. It is now. It's even if it was done in edible ink in your little notebook.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't rub that shit out, you know.
No. And speaking of notebooks, I hear we have to offer congratulations to one Mr. Ted Kravitz, who obviously is not listening, but if he was to listen, congratulations, because apparently he's had a baby daughter.
Oh, well done, sir. Well done.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although that's no excuse for missing the fucking race.
Well, you know, you got to weigh these things up, haven't you? You really do. I like the way that you planned your wedding in between the races.
Absolutely, you see. It was entirely down to when the races fell that I decided that. Entirely.
Exactly, yes. And I'm glad that you were able to put your foot down with that as well.
Oh, yes. That's totally what happened, yeah.
Yes, congratulations to Ted, etc. But he's not going to be listening to this rubbish because we're two idiots that don't know what we're doing and swear a little bit. So, you know, you have been warned.
A little bit?
There is going to be a little bit in this, I feel.
There's already been a bit.
There has been, yes. So there will be more.
The preceding podcast may contain swearing.
Yes, yeah, there will be. Anyway, so where do we begin? Do you want to talk about some news that came in before the race started?
There's only a few bits of news that I could tell. Mostly people bitching and whining and sulking and, I don't like stuff, you know, as is par for the course. Mm-hmm. We've had a number of the teams complaining that Haas may be getting a bit too much help from Ferrari. So while they're absolutely fine having an American team there and, you know, this model for coming into Formula One and doing well, that's fine. The second they start doing better than, say, fourth, oh, no, don't like that. Mm. So we had a number of teams questioning that.
Isn't it funny that now, in the beginning, when they were a new team, it was so cute that they were doing quite well, and then they got worse and worse and worse. And when they were doing quite badly, nobody batted an eyelid, did they? But as soon as they do quite well, people don't like it.
Little bit. Mm. So there was that. Liberty Media unveiled. Well, it was kind of hyped up as their big blueprint for Formula One, but near as I can tell, it's nothing that hasn't already been talked about for the last 6 months to a year. There's nothing new in it that I can tell.
It's a 5-point list
of stuff they've been talking about for the last year.
Yeah. The F1 proposals for 2021 are cheaper and louder engines.
Yes.
Road relevant and hybrid. See, that's not even a sentence.
Yeah. It's not, and we've already discussed why that's irrelevant, but do go on.
Attractive to new teams and suppliers.
Yeah.
Cost caps.
Which again, none of the big teams will agree to.
No, big. Well, there'll be loopholes, won't they?
Well, they've said so. No one's officially said, but unofficially, everyone knows that the proposed cost cap is 150 million, not counting marketing and not counting driver salaries.
Yeah. Yeah. So go figure that. And the last one was increase overtaking. No shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and that was another bit of news was there was rumours they were going to try and implement some things for next year, simplifying the front wings and making the DRS gap bigger. But would you believe it? One of the teams vetoed it, so it's not going to happen now.
I wonder what team that could be.
Near as I could tell, it wasn't Ferrari this time, but still, a team vetoed it.
Really?
So one team vetoed it, so that's not happening now.
It wasn't Ferrari?
It might have been Ferrari. I didn't hear it was Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm saying. Because normally when Ferrari fuck up, Christian Horner and Toto Wolff and everyone else is very quick to point at Ferrari and say, "J'accuse." But this time they haven't. So yeah, that's not going to happen. So we're not going to have any simplified wings or anything like that for next year. So yeah.
Oh, I better mention while we're still at this stage. This is the Bahrain 2018 Grand Prix review. I didn't say that at the beginning, but you probably already know that because you downloaded it and read the title. So I just wanted to say
one would hope so, yeah. But yeah, it's this.
It's there. It's another little thing that I can tick off my box, and at least I know I've done that. So there we go.
Yes. So yeah, I think that was pretty much all the news that I really saw. Nothing else jumped out at me. If something comes to me later on, I'll acid flashback. And
okay. Well, I've got 3 tiny things that I want to just mention.
Okay.
First off, I didn't mention it last episode. I don't know why. It was just a thing that I saw, I noticed, and that was it. But the Tommy Hilfiger sponsorship on the Mercedes.
Yeah.
I quite like it. It's small, it's tiny, adds a little bit of colour to it, even though it is a white compared to the dull grey.
Has that replaced Hugo Boss then on Mercedes?
I would imagine so, yeah. I wouldn't have thought that you would have had both.
Mm.
I just missed the days that they were advertising BlackBerry. Ah, them days. I just liked it. I just thought it was nice and appealing. I thought it worked really well.
Okay.
Billy Monger ended up coming third in his first race back in GP4, I think it is.
That was F3. It was his first F3 race.
Yep, F3.
So well done, that man. He was using a hand throttle and a brake pedal with... I don't know, does he race with his prosthetics or does he just have something connected to the stump? I don't know how the mechanics of it work. But I
think the way it works is he's got a hand throttle on his left hand.
Yeah.
But he's got a prosthetic leg and he's got enough leg on his right leg to use it as the brake. And he's got enough feel in his bottom and he's got enough pressure in his upper leg to apply the brake.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fantastically well done. And it was a wet race as well. So, well done, that man.
Yeah, excellent stuff. And just before this week, just as this weekend kicked off, there was a driver's interview.
The news conference.
Yes, that's right. And Kimi Räikkönen was asked a question about what would he do to improve the spectacle, or what could he improve? And he just shut them down in his Kimi fashion. It was the most that he's ever spoken since maybe 2014, I suppose.
You know what you should do? You should actually put it in here. Put that bit of audio here now.
That means more work.
I know, but you should do that.
Yeah. Okay, if you don't hear it next, then I'm worried about copyright and etc.
And he's lazy.
Yeah. So anyway,
so that might have been Kimi you just heard. It might not have been, but if it was Kimi you just heard, it's him basically saying. So someone asks him, if you could make a change to Formula One, what would it be?
Yeah.
And he said, I can't make a change to Formula One. Why are you asking me this stupid question? Piss off. In effect.
Okay. What do you think of his answer?
I think Kimi, I think someone was got out of bed without his ice cream. But
I'm really disappointed.
Well, what did you expect him to say? Kimi's never played the PR game, ever.
No, I know. But the way that he just fobbed it off as if, well, I haven't got any power, so what's the point in me giving the answer? Because it's not going to change anything and everything's just going to stay the same. Now, you've got Liberty Media coming in, looking to change things and change things for the better. Who are they going to turn to the most? They should be turning to the drivers the most, asking their opinions. And if a driver turns around and says an opinion that is quite good, then maybe they might adopt it. So
again,
I'm
no.
sorry.
You're going to ask a driver who it's obvious is in his last season of Formula One. Oh, in all respect to Kimi, I love Kimi, but he's already checked out.
No, I still think you would. I still think you would. Everyone, especially when they're driving, everyone's opinion is valid. That's down to the oldest guy on the grid and the youngest guy on the grid.
Oh, I'm not saying that's not the case. But I'm just saying I'm putting myself in Kimmy's mind, and Kimmy's mind is saying to me, "I want my ice cream." But after I've had my ice cream, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm only here to collect my paycheck. Come on, guys. I want to get this done so I can go and retire to my hollowed out ice volcano in Finland.
Right. No, sorry. I love that dude to bits, but it's not good enough. He's got an opportunity there, and they should be turning around and putting their opinion across, and maybe something might stick. Now, it was put open to everyone. I don't know whether Alonso or whoever else was there at the time picked up the baton and ran with their opinions. So I don't know that. I haven't seen that part of the interview. But I still think that is an opportunity for someone, not with any power, but with maybe a tiny bit of influence to actually put some good wheels in motion there. And I think that's a wasted opportunity.
Oh, I'm not arguing that's not the case. I'm just saying him not care.
I'm frustrated with that. That really pees me off. Can you not hear the payment of myself from this?
Oh, very much so.
Oh, jeez, man. I think even if any of them were to be asked at the moment, because you can tell that they don't like the interviews. It's very stagnant. It's very stale. It needs a shake.
Well, it's a holdover from the print media and stuff like that. I mean, that's the only people it's really there for.
Yeah,
it's for the magazine journalists.
Maybe that needs a shake up as well then.
Possibly, but then we're getting back into the press, and I've already ranted enough about them today. So let's move on.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just really annoyed about that. So I think that was all the news really, carrying over from last race. When did Hamilton get his 5-place penalty for a gearbox change?
They announced it on Friday night, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after FP2, I think before FP3. But they knew after Australia, I think they wanted to just see how it would hold up.
Okay. So it's precautionary, but they went into the weekend knowing that they probably would have to change it anyway.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, fair play.
I guess they didn't want to announce it too soon in case, it might influence other people into taking penalties they might not have otherwise taken. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that, shall I get into the free practice and get this out of the way?
Yes, practice away, sir.
Okay, well, FB1, we had Verstappen pushing his car back to the garage after his outlet because he had problems with the turbo. We had Ricciardo, who was looking very fast. He was the fastest, topping the times in FB1. In FB2, Ricciardo was blocked by Bottas at one point. Now, Bottas blamed it on the lack of information. He's saying that the team should be feeding him more information, but you got two things on the car that let you know exactly what's going on behind you. The name of them, I forget the name of them.
To be fair, it has long been established that those things are about as much use on a Formula One car as a chocolate fireguard.
This is true. This is very, very true. But you've still got them, haven't you? And
yes,
they need to work, and they do work. So, and especially at slow speeds, you're not going to get as much vibration. I'm sorry, he should have been looking in his mirrors. You're in free practice. If you're slowing down, you should be looking in your mirrors. Jeez, man, I'm going to be ranting all night, I feel. I feel like I'm really going to be ranting.
Ah, do it, man. Let go your hatred.
Yeah, FP2, it's still in FP2. Kimi was the fastest, but then pitted for new boots and ended up with a wheel problem, which was very reminiscent of the Haas from the last race.
Yes, it might, because I believe Haas actually get the wheel hub bits from Ferrari.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which goes along with the story about people moaning about Haas being a Ferrari.
Yes.
You can't blame him, though. You really can't. And, aside, I don't mind them being the Ferrari B team.
I don't. People go, oh, you can't have a 2-tier championship. It's already a 2-tier championship, so get over yourselves. Let's just call it what it is and get back to racing.
That's right, yeah. And in FP3, Kimi was fastest, and Vettel had a barge board that came loose, so he had to slow down on one of his laps, go back to the pits, and he missed about half the session because of it. So,
can I just very briefly? I feel I need to get this off my chest.
Yeah, go.
So, talking about the whole being a B team thing, MotoGP clearly has two tiers. You have factory teams and the customer teams.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are advantages to both, what have you. I'm not going to spoil who it is, but a customer bike won the race today.
Oh, really? Okay.
That happens quite often in MotoGP. There are chances and opportunities for customer bikes to win races. Granted, the factory ones usually win the championship, but that's fine. But still, there's like 30 odd bikes in MotoGP because they can go and buy effectively a full setup from one of the factory teams.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we do this in Formula One? It frustrates the fuck out of me. Sorry, I'm done now.
Well, some of the guidelines that Liberty were laying down were, well, if the viewers and the fans can't see it, then what's the point in having it made by all 10 cars or all 10 teams? Sorry, so
absolutely,
you might as well standardise certain parts, which I am in favour of. Kind of level that playing field a little bit, and some days I catch myself thinking, yeah, okay, B teams would be good. The only thing about that would worry me you would send the likes of Williams and Sauber possibly hurtling down towards the very back.
I don't think they need your help hurtling down towards the very back right now, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, okay. I don't mind the B teams. That sort of thought, anyway.
I don't really follow MotoGP as much anymore since it all went to BT, and it's hard for me to watch.
Yep.
But I couldn't tell you who are the Minardis of MotoGP. I couldn't tell you who were the Caterhams or the HRTs.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever had a team which would consistently be at the back. After the factory teams, the front runners, any one of those has a good chance of being best of the rest. And I think that's a much better situation than the haves and the fuck them.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. And no, I'm not going to get into bashing MotoGP. No, I won't do that. Even though I have been to one. I can hear you frowning at me.
No, I was going to say, I forgot you went to the race last year.
Yeah, certainly did. So should we jump into the qualifying then?
Yes, after you.
Okie dokie. Right, qualifying one. Surprisingly, we had Verstappen bringing out the red flags.
He did. Yes, he apparently had a sudden surge of 150 brake horsepower. Which
is a sizable amount, I think, isn't it?
It is. I mean, isn't that how much the KERS unit deploys?
Yeah, and it's probably more horsepower than my car.
Probably. Certainly more horsepower than me.
Yeah, he was coming out of exiting turn 2 before he even hit the rumble strip on that exit of the corner. He was going sideways and he couldn't stop in time and ended up ripping off the front left-hand side of the car.
Yeah, it was a strange one, wasn't it? It just kind of it definitely wasn't anywhere we'd seen it happen before, because it was kind of before the apex of a corner, wasn't it?
Well, it was on the exit, wasn't it? So it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't anywhere near.
Well, it was on the exit of that one, but it was in that 2-3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was it 3-4?
2-3.
Yeah. So it just kind of dropped it. And went whee.
Yeah, surprise! That's 2 spins in 2 races or 2 race weekends. Very unforced spins as well.
Yes.
So I wonder if there's something that has been changed on that Red Bull that he's not being able to adapt to ever so slightly.
It's possible. We will have to wait and see.
Yeah. Anyway, Kimi ended up fastest in Q1. We lost Stroll, Leclerc, Sorokin, Ericsson, and Grosjean.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of a shock after how well they've been doing previous one. He had exactly the same time in Q1 as Alonso.
Yes, he did. Alonso only got through because he set the time first.
Yes.
So Are we getting to the point where we need 4 decimal places on these times?
No.
Okay, good. Lovely short answer.
Well, can you tell me the last time 2 drivers had exactly identical times?
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Right. And given how much useless knowledge you have on the top of your head, I take that as answering the question.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
With Verstappen dropping it, he didn't take part in Q2. So
he went through, but he couldn't take part.
That's right, yeah. So Vettel ended up fastest. We lost Verstappen, Van Dorn, Alonso, Perez, and Hartley.
Yeah.
So we've still got one Haas in the shake-up, which is pretty damn good as well.
More impressively, we've got a Toro Rosso.
Yeah, in the top 10, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
well done, that man. Pierre Gasly, yes.
Yes, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about him, actually.
Yes, we shall.
In Q3, Vettel, he went wide on one of his last corners, leaving Kimi sitting on provisional pole. And on his second run, Vettel just got it. He was just too damn quick. And the Mercedes didn't really have any response to it. There was, hang on, how many tenths? 3, maybe 4 tenths of the second between the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, it was an all-time lap record for the circuit as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought it wasn't very dramatic. There wasn't a lot going on, but it was interesting enough to watch.
It was. I mean, a couple of things I think worth mentioning. McLaren, disappointing for them compared to where they were expecting and talking about. Again, lowest placed of the Renault runners.
Yep.
With the exception of Verstappen, because he broke his car. And Williams. What is going on with Williams? Yeah.
I'm worried. I'm really worried.
You, me, and Martin Brundle both, mate. It would seem it's. Yeah, I mean the thing is, given the budget and the expertise in the team, especially now you got Paddy Lowe there, given the Mercedes engine, and bearing in mind, not counting the factory Mercedes, but the Force India, who is always a good yardstick of where the customer engine should be.
Yeah.
You had Ocon is 9th, and Perez is 12th. These guys at the back, and I mean, even more potentially scary for Lance Stroll is, he was out-qualified quite handily by his rookie teammate as well.
Yeah, that's worrying.
A little bit. Far too early to get into speculation, but since everyone else seems to be doing it, let's do it anyway. Is it time for of a poll to step up?
Kubica, you mean?
Yes, Kubica. The pole to take pole, perhaps? Well, not in that car anyway.
I think with everything, I think I nearly said it last race as well with Sorokin, but I think with everything, we leave it until mid-season. The mid-season break, and then we take account of what's going on, and then we make rash decisions that could influence the rest of the season.
Sounds good to me. I mean, for my money, it just feels like they need an experienced driver, and I'm not necessarily saying it should be Kubica. Maybe Massa should have been kept on. And you can make the argument about lap times all you want, but I feel you need someone there who can give good feedback and develop that car.
Do you know what it needs? I would love, now I'm not saying this would ever happen in a million years, I would love Lewis Hamilton to see Williams struggling and say, do you know what? I want to bring them up the grid. And I think that would be fantastic for the sport, fantastic for his image, and potentially fantastic for Williams as well. Now, I'm not saying he could drag them up there single-handedly, but what a story that would be.
Well, you see, it should have been Button doing that, who, sidebar, got second place on his first Super GT race. Well done, that man. Mm-hmm. But secondly, no, Button was the one who should have done it. Hamilton's already done it to a large extent. And you can argue about whether the groundwork was laid by Rosberg and Schumacher and all you want, but still, Rosberg went from a reasonably front-running Mercedes McLaren team to a stuck in the quagmire of a midfield Mercedes team. And while he's been there, he's won 3 world championships.
Hamilton,
so, yeah. Well, the team's won 4. He's won 3.
Yeah.
So arguably he's already done that. I don't think there's any appeal to that to Hamilton. I honestly think if he does 5, he'll probably say, well, I'm going to collect my chips and go and cash out.
Yeah. I kind of see your point with him doing it, but I also, it was the change of engine and regulation, wasn't it? And so I think it was just a case of Mercedes were the top gun, and not saying he lucked into it, because there was obviously development there, but he saw potential of that, and so took the dive on them before the engine swaps. And so I don't see that as a progressive thing. It was 1 minute they were languishing in midfield, quite a good and representable midfield team, and then all of a sudden the engine change comes along and they're top of the grid. So I don't see he's actually pulled them from the back up to the front.
Yeah, I know that, and we can argue the semantics, and quite frankly, if you went to Williams, probably the same.
Yeah.
It would still be Paddy Lowe's influence. Look, all of these teams, if you want to win, you need a strong foundation.
Yeah.
What you need is someone like Ross Brawn who can go in there when the team is in utter disarray and build it up. And I think that's what Paddy Lowe's going to try and do at Williams, but it's going to take time.
It's going to take a year or two, isn't it?
At least. And the problem is, I mean, they're going to lose their title sponsor this year because they're going, I believe.
What, Martini?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, their sponsorship ends this year, I think.
Right, okay.
And then, I mean, it's when Sauber, who now are effectively the the Ferrari, C team?
Probably, yes.
Are benefiting from that partnership. You've got to be worried about ending up at the back of the grid.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Williams does not deserve to be at the back of the grid. No
team deserves to be at the back of the grid, but least of all, a championship winning team.
Yeah.
And especially the one with the heritage of Williams being, just a family-run team. So
yeah, I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but Frank's getting on these days. I don't want him to go out with his team at the back.
Don't say
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything, but get your act together, Williams. Damn it.
Yeah. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Yeah. So Williams are slow, and I think throughout the race that was showed that they were pretty slow.
They're adrift, I would say.
Yeah. So the top 10 is like this. We had Sebastian Vettel. Now I'm going to do them as they qualified, and then we can just add the grid penalties later.
There's only one penalty, so yeah.
So Sebastian Vettel got his 52nd pole position, I think it is. Kimi Räikkönen was second, so locking out the front row since God knows when. Valtteri Bottas was third in Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton was fourth, which he had a 5-place grid penalty applied to that later on. Daniel Ricciardo was fifth. Pierre Gasly was sixth. What? Huh? Where did that come from?
I know, right?
Beating Kevin Magnussen, who was seventh. Nico Hülkenberg, who was eighth. Esteban Ocon, who was ninth. And Carlos Sainz, who's very quiet this weekend, in 10th. So there's your top 10. And as we said, Lewis Hamilton dropped back to 9th position after his grid penalty was applied. So, the race.
The race, yes.
Can I get your opinions, just maybe in a couple of sentences, of what you thought of this race?
That's more like it. More of this, please.
Okay, good. We're singing from the same hymn sheet then. That's good.
Well, this race this week sounded to me like the race you saw last week or last time out in Australia that I missed.
Okay.
Because there was so much overtaking, so much opportunity for overtaking. The cars could overtake, which was nice. It was, if you were in the faster car, if you got on the back straight, granted you still have to use DRS, but again, it wasn't like, push to pass and you was by them. It just got you in a position where you could do it on the brakes. And then when you had drivers like Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton and all that, who were good on the brakes, who had that skill, they could capitalise and take advantage of it. We also had different strategies playing out, which was great. You had, Ferrari going for the 2-stop, Mercedes going for the 1-stop, and then when that's not working out, they got to adapt and improvise. You had all that sort of drama there, which was great.
That was good. I like that.
Yeah, I love that, and that's what I want to see in my races. I mean, we had like fights going on for 12th place. Hell, this was less than 1 second between first and second, and a legitimate trying to pass for the lead on the last lap.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to see.
We had a change of lead as well during the race when Vettel overtook Hamilton.
Well, yeah, but I mean, arguably that was on the whole tyre strategy. But I get what you're saying. But still, this was a 200-mile-an-hour game of chess.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this was. Australia for me was, I don't know, a 200-mile-an-hour game of checkers.
Right. Okay. I'm rubbish at checkers. I'm more of a chess man myself, to be honest.
Still, this was a great, fun, entertaining race. The entire thing, there was so much going on. It was the balm I needed after. Because I got to tell you, if we'd had another Australia, like for that, I would have been really struggling to keep up my enthusiasm for another 20-odd races.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. There was proper wheel banging. There was bits of carbon fibre flying everywhere as well.
Yes, quite literally and unwarranted as well at some places.
Yeah. Well, okay. Can we talk about that? The Haas of Grosjean just decided just to leave his car. It was just disintegrating.
It's the new strategy is the cars get lighter as the race goes on by shedding parts,
Cheeky.
Which are obviously superfluous. This is, to my mind, the 4th time this season cars have had problems with those barge boards,
mm-hmm.
which says to me there is a fundamental problem with them.
I think if they continue to fall off, although we've had years and years of barge boards. I think the first barge board was brought out by McLaren.
We've had years and
93.
years of it, but this year they've specifically loosened the regulations to allow the teams to try different things.
Yep.
And so far we've had Red Bull in pre-season having problems. We had Ferrari this weekend having problems.
That's right.
And then now we've had the Haas where it's shedding parts. Quite frankly, that should have been a black and orange flag for that car, because after it shed it initially, it was still shedding parts.
Yes.
So it's like, and again, the halo ain't going to stop something like that hitting you. It's just not.
That's what I saw when that first barge board went flying off in the air. That hung up in the air for a long time. Yeah, now, that must have been on the contrail of the car as well, just being blown up in the air. But man,
when it was raining, you see the rooster tails. Well, that air's still doing that, even when it's not raining.
That's correct, and that was hanging up in that air. So you might be lucky being the car right behind and that falling off. 3 or 4 cars behind, no, you're going to get clobbered with that. So I think that's something for Liberty Media, i.e. the Formula One family in general, to look at and maybe, not saying remove, but towards the end of 2008 when they were getting too many flicks and tricks, which I didn't like, maybe it's time to start thinking about that and maybe removing these little tricks that they have on the car.
Well, yeah, it's what we saw with train of thought's completely derailed there. But yeah, those flicks and tricks, the cars look like abominations, and they were just silly. I definitely think this is going to be more an FIA thing than a Liberty Media or anything, because it will be a safety thing.
Yeah.
So I think we might see. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Charlie went and had a good look at those Haas cars and probably the Ferrari as well and a few others, and we might see a safety directive issued on those. And it might be in future if they fail. That car and the sister car will just be, black and orange flag straight away.
Yeah.
Which, frankly, should be.
No, that's correct, because you can't just have bits just willy-nilly falling off, can you? Which, it's just not good for anyone, and it poses a danger as well.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoyed this race.
Oh, me too.
I really enjoyed it, and to the point where I was getting nervous towards the end. Now, it wasn't nervous because, I want Ferrari to win. No, it was nervous because it was nervous energy. It was fun. It was fun watching it. And I think even with like the race last time out. I think that's where I was getting nervous energy from last time. I was just thoroughly enjoying what was happening in front of me when Vettel was closing down Hamilton. You're thinking, oh, this is going to be good. Or, no, sorry, it's Hamilton closing down Vettel. And you're thinking, it's going to be good. This is going to be really good. And it didn't really happen. But this time out, it almost happened. I think.
Well, no, arguably it did happen because Bottas got up to him and was presented with opportunities, and he did have a few lunges. Whereas last time out, Hamilton couldn't get close to him. That was the difference.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I feel as if Mercedes weren't managing certain things, because there was a lot of management going along, and you could hear it because I think Hamilton lost his radio for parts of this race as well, didn't he? And there was talk about management and hitting. Oh, what did he say? I can't remember his words now. I wrote it down somewhere.
Or something like that. I don't know.
Well, he was driving to target.
Yeah, but that all comes back to this stupid. You've got to make the engines last for free. Free engines last the entire sodding season. Because this is all this misplaced whole. Oh, we've got to, to keep the cost down. Well, it doesn't keep the cost down. It drives the cost up because you're spending so much money trying to develop these engines that will do this sort of performance over this sort of mileage.
Yeah.
And again, it dilutes the racing because they've got one eye on managing and preserving and stuff like this. No, I want them to go hell for leather. Okay, not this extent, but I used to like it when you want your engine to do a full race distance plus one lap and then fall apart. Yeah. That's what I wanted to, and that's silly. That's not sustainable. But at the same time, I mean, we got 20 races.
Yep.
So why not 4 races an engine?
Mm-hmm.
It seems much more reasonable than trying to use 3 to last the entire thing, because they're not going to do it.
No.
I doubt any engine is going to do. Any free engines are going to survive this season.
No, well, we're looking at Renault already planning for a 4th engine anyway. So I think a lot of teams
just
are
looked
planning.
and laughed.
Well, they're a surprise, aren't they?
Well, not really. They did do a lot of work last year out.
Yeah,
I think this comes down to Honda is doing a lot better with reliability. I mean, let's not forget that they did have one car out of the points a lap down. So some of this is down to driver as well, Pierre Gasly, who was it GP2 or F2 champion?
I don't want to say, just in case it's wrong. Just in case we get an email at box@grandprixpodcast.com.
Yeah. So one man quickly looks up thing on the internet. It was GP2. So he was the 2016 GP2 champion. And he's very highly rated by Red Bull. And Brendan Hartley, again, a fantastic young driver, but he kind of had his chance, and then he was doing the WEC stuff. Now he's kind of come back across. I don't think Helmut Marko will be holding Hartley in the same regard as Gasly as a future Red Bull driver.
Mm.
I think Gasly is the Verstappen of Toro Rosso for the time being.
Okay,
good or for ill. And again, he dragged that car up to 4th, and well done, that man. But I
don't think he dragged it up to 4th. I think it was well represented that he should have been there.
I think, arguably, the Haas possibly with Magnussen, maybe even Hülkenberg, but still, he got there, and that's fine. I think partly though, it's the Honda's more reliable now, and there's more of a give and take with Toro Rosso than there was with McLaren. Mm-hmm. McLaren was always like size 0. It's all got to be size 0, which just created them a load of cooling headaches, which made the engine unreliable, which meant we never finished. Mm. Whereas I think Toro Rosso are more willing to listen to Honda and make the car slightly wider at the back.
Yeah. I suppose I'm forgetting that we lost 3 front runners as well.
Well, yes. We had Daniel Ricciardo, who unfortunately managed to trip the off switch at some point, and his tyre just shut off. It's always a problem when you're on the Scalextrics and it kind of jumps out of the grooves and there's just no power.
Well, yeah, that's normally when your kid sister walks past you and just hits the plug and it pulls it out, and it's like, oh, everything just grinds to a halt, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
And then we had Max Verstappen, who a little bit of bumper cars with Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that collision between him and Lewis?
I felt that Verstappen was getting his elbows out, maybe a little bit too much, should have given Hamilton a little bit of room.
The thing is, if you watch it back, there's no one alongside Verstappen. He has an entire racetrack there, and Lewis already has two wheels over the curb. So I'm like, where do you expect him to go?
Yeah.
That was a little bit of getting the elbows out. And
wasn't he tucked up behind Alonso at the time?
I don't think so. Not at that point. That came just before, because it was into turn. Was it 6 or 7?
I thought it was on the main straight and went into turn 1 and 2. And it was into turn 1 that he pushed him wide a little bit. He was behind Alonso. And I think Alonso may have been a bit slow on the apex. And so Verstappen went a little bit wider just to accommodate Alonso and then pushed. I
don't know. My take on it was he was going to try and pass Hamilton, and he was going to try and effectively run Hamilton off the road. Or at least make Hamilton flinch.
Oh, he was defending, wasn't he? I thought he was defending from Hamilton. Or was he over?
Well, he was
overtaking him, wasn't he?
He was overtaking. He just done the overtake effectively, and it was effectively getting the elbows out, and it was like, I'm coming through here. What are you going to do about it? And he kind of screwed himself.
I think it was avoidable.
It was 100% avoidable. It was an unforced error, and again, he gets a bit hot-headed, old Max, doesn't he, when things aren't going his way?
Yeah, and they seem to be at the moment, definitely.
Yeah, he reckons they did damage to the differential, I think, on the car. So he was forced to stop then as well. So we had 2 Red Bulls out within a lap of each other.
Yeah, well, that bump and grind it took a nice lump out the wheel, which we saw when we saw the pit stop from that. He was kind of saved a little bit because there was a virtual safety car, because we had Daniel Ricciardo pull over and they needed to get rid of his car. So the virtual
you also
safety
had
car was
Perez facing the wrong way at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, well, the first lap was a few incidences added together, really, wasn't it? So what did we have on the first lap?
Well, Perez facing the wrong way. We had
that was Hartley's fault as well, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, we had
Hartley hit him and ended up receiving a 10-second penalty for next time he came in for the pits.
Yeah, didn't we have Magnussen getting a bit punchy as well?
Yeah, he had 2 excursions.
Yeah.
Hang on, the first one, who did he... I can't remember who he... No, he was with Gasly, wasn't it? One of them was with Gasly.
I think it was with a Toro Rosso, yeah.
Yeah. So he had that, yeah. Kevin Magnussen and Gasly had the second contact. I think K-Mag had one with a Force India, which would have been Ocon.
Yeah.
Or was it a Renault?
Oh, maybe.
There was a lot of cars in there, and I didn't have time to write it all down.
There was a lot going on. It was the first lap.
Yeah. But yeah, what a first couple of laps, I thought. That was
it
good.
It was great. Mostly clean for the most part, which was nice. A couple of taps here and there, but that was about it. And other than that, it was it was good stuff.
Yeah. So the thing that really interested me was the tyre strategies that was going on here, because what it seemed to have is Mercedes were going to go long and have one stop. And what it was going to turn out to be was Ferrari have 2, but they do the sprint, and they ended up they would have had to overtake Mercedes twice, but they would have had the tyres and the speed to do it. Whereas Mercedes were hoping just to plod along and end up reaping a victory. That didn't kind of work out, did it?
No. I mean, I think largely Vettel, I don't want to say he kind of lucked into this because this was down to driver skill a lot, but his hand was forced on strategy by what happened in the pit stop with Kimi.
Yeah.
So anyone who didn't see the race, why are you listening to this if you didn't watch it? But there was a problem with the pit lane, with his pit stop, and he was released before the left rear tyre was fitted, and he ran over his mechanic, or he pulled his mechanic along or something.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he broke the leg of a mechanic. Both bones broken in his leg. And I haven't seen the footage, but apparently it's rather grisly, so I will not be looking that up.
I have, yeah. If you're squeamish, don't look at it. It's like a big red button. I've got to look at it, haven't I?
Well, yeah. So, but because of that, while I don't think they closed the pit lane, it certainly closed the Ferrari pit, because obviously Vettel would not be able to pit while medics were attending the mechanic, forcing Vettel to stay out longer anyway. And I think at that point it compromised the strategy so that his only real option was to try and make the soft tyre last the race distance. So he did 38 laps on it, I think. And Pirelli reckoned it was only rated for 30.
That's correct, yeah.
It was right teetering on the edge of the cliff at the end there. And you had the two Mercedes were both on the medium tyre, which could happily do 40 plus laps, were charging him down. I mean, at the end, Bottas was less than a second behind him. And Hamilton had closed it down from, I think, 17 seconds at its longest to 6 seconds at the end.
That's right, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, one more lap, I reckon his tyres would have gone off that cliff and he'd have been done. But, it's a testament to Vettel as a racer that he was able to save his tyres and to adapt to the situation the way he did. And I applaud him. Well done, that man.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, because you could obviously see the way that Ferrari changed their strategy with the incident with Kimi Räikkönen, because I was watching it with my son and I immediately went, no, they haven't done that tyre yet. And then his car went and then hit someone. It's like, oh Christ, that's not good. That's never good. And so Kimi retired from that. And, that wasn't his luck. He gets the green light to go, and he goes. And do I get into my lollipop man situation here? No, I won't.
No, do it.
Yeah?
Do it.
Okay.
Well, this was the second time this weekend Ferrari had an unsafe release.
Yeah, okay, right. I miss the days where when you changed your tyre, when the wheel gun man finished changing his tyre, he put his hand, who had a fluorescent yellow or orange oven glove, went over the top and said, yeah, that tyre is done. And you had a guy watching that. As soon as he saw all four, he'd whoop the lollipop away. The man at the front would whoop the jack away, and then you'd go. Now it's all computer generated, and someone can override it. But when you get 4 green lights, then the guy who holds the button says go, and then they go, and they get a green light. It's all very... There's scope for error there. And I prefer to have a man at the front saying go. And I think they should go back to that.
Well, I think the fraction of a second they save by having it all done electronically pales in significance if you're unable to finish the race, which we saw last time out with the 2 Hasses. We saw this time out with Ferrari.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it does sound like, because apparently for whatever reason, it registered there was 4 wheels on his wagon. It's just one of those wheels was the wrong one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they didn't even take the wheel off, did they? So they obviously had trouble with that.
Yeah, so
yeah, I would personally like a lollipop man, lady, child, whatever, at the front doing that and controlling it. Now,
yes, no, a child, definitely. I want a kid doing it.
Yeah, one of these grid kids. Yeah. By the way, you're the lollipop kid.
Put them to some use after they've done the thing on the grid. There you go.
Oh man, that'll be brilliant. Anyway, so I would like some sort of human control on that. It just seems a bit removed from that, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I think today proves it's dangerous. You don't want team personnel having their legs broken, and it is a grim video. So if you're a bit squeamish, don't go watching that.
I'm not going to. I'm good.
I like the way that Ferrari adapted to that, because they had an inbuilt excuse. If it didn't work, well, we couldn't come into the pits. And I feel that they managed it really well, And Sebastian looked after his tyres perfectly. He said his tyres were gone with 10 laps still to go. But I think he managed it really well, and a bit disappointed that Mercedes didn't just pounce on that. They weren't. I'm maybe thinking of Mercedes 2 years ago, where they would have just breezed up to him and driven round him, and that didn't happen.
Well, I think we saw this time out the Ferrari engine is a lot closer to the Mercedes engine. I mean, let's not forget that the Force Indias and the Williams, who in days gone by, just having that Mercedes engine in the back was good enough for effectively fourth and fifth.
Yeah.
Best of the rest. I think all the other teams, all the other engines have closed up enough on Mercedes that the advantage isn't quite there the same. I also think that a concern, if you will, or at least a note of caution. I think circumstance has been kind to Ferrari in the last two races, and they've capitalised when it was presented to them, that they're not driving the strategy forward. They're not taking the initiative. And I worry that once everything's bedded down a little bit, usually by the time we get to the European races, I'm yet to see any evidence that Ferrari are less disorganised than they were the previous couple of years when it comes to strategy. I want to see them being very proactive and like taking bold decisions and
bossing it.
Effectively, yeah. And I haven't seen that yet. They've lucked into the last two. With all respect, the circumstances have favoured them.
Yeah.
They haven't created the opportunities. They've taken advantage of them. And that's my only concern going on into the rest of the season. I want to see some evidence that on the strategy side, they're able to match Vettel effectively, be worthy of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're still waiting for a race where all the pit stops go smoothly, and then we can see who's reacting and who's bossing it in control of the pit stops, who's dictating the pace and who changes where and when. Although the Ferrari they did have their own strategy and they were going to stick with it up until the accident. No,
that's true. That's true. And again, but because we had the accident, we don't know how it played out.
No.
I don't know if there wasn't the accident, if they wouldn't have pitted Vettel and then just resigned themselves to a second at best.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd have been bold enough to try to do the one stop without that. They might not have had to, because with Kimi there, they might have had the option for backing up the Mercedes or something like that. If you have the two cars, you have options.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I have no doubts in Vettel's ability as a driver, especially now he's given up reading War and Peace when he's out. Apparently Lewis has found a copy of that. But as long as he's focusing on the driving and less on the bitching, that's fine.
Yeah.
But what I'm yet to see is evidence that on the strategy side, they're bold and willing to take the initiative.
Right. Okay, cool. Was there anything else that you wanted to speak about this race? Because we had someone turn up in fourth, didn't we?
Well,
we didn't expect.
Yeah, but before we get to that, I did want to just doff my cap to Hamilton with an amazing doing 3 places in one corner, which again just shows how much better of a circuit this is for these cars than Melbourne was last time.
Yeah.
Because that was just mighty. He's coming down. He's at the back behind Magnussen, Alonso, and Hülkenberg, I think, or maybe Sainz. But still, he's at the back and coming down the pit straight, comes into the corner, and he's in front. And that was mighty.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? That was,
and that's what I want to see. I want to see that. It's all well and good being able to, cruise up to the cars, but if you can't actually get past them because the cars can't follow, then what's the point? And this time out, for whatever reason it was. So if the cars can do it here, there's got to be something they can understand and do it on other circuits. I don't like it when they can't pass. It sucks.
Well, I think it is down to the track as well, because you have quite a long third back straight before quite a medium corner going on to the start and finish straight. So maybe that's part of the design of the circuit as well, helps you because you're not opening and closing that gap between the DRS zone. That's remaining fairly constant through a medium speed corner. Yeah.
And that was what was great. I just want to go back very briefly talking about the Ferrari engine versus the Mercedes engine.
Yeah.
Ericsson outdragged a Force India down the straight.
Yes.
I mean, that kind of says it all there for the engine parodies. And yes, he had DRS, but still, there were times gone by where you could have DRS open and fully deploy your energy pack, and that Mercedes was still disappearing off into the distance.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
You wouldn't even get pulled along with it, would you?
No, not at all. It was just gone. So, we've got to salute Ferrari and Renault for closing that up. And I think we've got to doff our caps to Ericsson and Sauber for well done, that man. Points finish, who I don't think anyone thought that was on the cards a week ago.
Did they say that it was 50 races between his last point as well?
Yep.
And that's the biggest gap ever.
Yeah. I believe surpassed only by your friend Nick Heidfeld.
Where'd you get that from? Truly, I could understand, but Nick no. Okay, weird. Okay, Pierre Gasly.
Yes.
Now, he rocked up in fourth, and it wasn't just he lucked into it. Yeah, he was a minute behind the winner of Sebastian Vettel, but he was 13 seconds in front of Kevin Magnussen in the Haas, which we thought was going to romp home.
Oh no, Pierre Gasly did a fucking spectacular job. Well done, that man. And again, he finished in fourth, Brendan Hartley in 13th and a lap down. And I know, he had the whole, had to change a nose and, 10-second penalty. But still, got to salute both Pierre Gasly, Toro Rosso and Honda for getting that job done. And I think that's great. One thing that was kind of pissing me off, two things were pissing me off in the post-commentary. One is everyone goes, I bet McLaren are looking at that, shaking their heads. Well, no, because firstly, they had 2 points finishers, which they didn't have last year. And that was more than the Toro Rosso one does. And again, we don't... I think Alonso had already said he thought Bahrain would be a tough circuit for McLaren.
Yeah. And
so, he got points there. But I'm just sick of everyone, egging them on, saying, I bet you wish you had that Honda right now, don't you? No, they don't.
No, they're third in the championship.
Exactly. Alonso's fourth.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to last, but I tell you what, if you told them a year ago this is where they would be now without Honda, they'd be like, fuck yeah, sign me up.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. I get why the media does this, because they have to, because it is the story, isn't it? It is you've left your girlfriend and look, you've got this other girlfriend, but look at your hot girlfriend over there, performing very, very well. Yeah.
And the one that pissed me off the most was the other one, which was, that no driver who's won the first 2 races hasn't gone on to win the championship. Fuck off with that shit. Last time out, it was no driver who was leading at the halfway point hasn't gone on to win the championship.
That was Coulthard.
Fuck off, Coulthard. Please, just piss off. I mean, for God's sakes, man, stop filling the air with such bullshit.
Yeah, I don't want to start ragging on ex-drivers, but man, there's a reason why I don't listen to the Channel 4, and it's mostly because of David Coulthard.
But it's when he's saying stuff like that, and I think they were saying something else, and they said it to Vettel, and he turned around and said, and I think they said that to Vettel, and they said no driver who's not won the first 2 hasn't won since 1982 or something like that. And he goes, yeah, well in 1982 there were less races, so what? It's just
weirdly, I've got that in the background. I'm watching that on the TV.
It's just statements like that are meaningless. It's like no driver who's worn 2 shoes has failed to go on and win the championship.
Sometimes there is something in stats sometimes, but the stats are becoming so null and void now.
Yeah, I mean, I get you won your 200th Grand Prix. That's great. That's a stat to be proud of, and that you're joining people like Hamilton, like Button, like Alonso and stuff like that. That's fine. But then when you turn around and say things like no one who's won the first 2 hasn't gone on to win it. I remember a couple of years ago again when we had 7 different winners in the first 7 races and stuff like that. These are meaningless stats. Just shut up. Just congratulate him. Job well done. Let's move on to the next race.
Well, in the first 3 or 4 races, that sort of stat is always brought out. If someone wins the first 2 or wins the first 4, like when Senna won the first 4 in 91 and Mansell won the first 5 in 92, I think it was. And then these stats started rolling out every single time. You're like, well, okay. And now it's just the first 2 because they're getting watered down.
You know, every driver who's finished ahead of all the other cars has won the race.
Really?
Really, yeah.
I hadn't worked that one out yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's true.
There you go. The more you learn.
It is.
Oh, yeah. Just shut up, Coulthard. Even if you are listening to this, I'm sure you're not. But, even if you are, just tone it down. Please, just tone it down. I don't like it. When I watch football, after the very first match of the season, they start drawing lines where the relegation zone is. And you're like, there's been one match and you're already relegating certain people. It's just stupid. And that's what they're doing here. They might as well draw a line under Sebastian Vettel and say, well, he's champion-elect. He's won 2 races. There's 19 more to go.
Did you know that every driver who won a race in the first 2 races of 2018 was the world champion between 2011 and 2013?
Right, okay. 2 years. 2 flipping years.
I'm just making up stats at this point. Did you know that the driver which completes the race in the shortest time typically wins?
Oh, we can come out with all them sort of stats as well.
But there was much use as this
stats.
Bloody one. Yeah, exactly. That should be our new segment, bullshit stats. Every race now, we come up with a bullshit stat.
Okay, right, yeah, we keep an eye out for them. These flipping stupid bullshit stats that they come out with, though.
I know. The only other thing I wanted to mention is the Ferrari engines. We've been joking about the smoke coming out of them, but it was really apparent under the floodlights. Now, my only concern is what if you're following? Is this obscuring vision and stuff like that? Is this potentially an issue there? I'm assuming not, but it doesn't look healthy.
Well, I'm not seeing it on anyone else's visors who's been following a Ferrari for a little while. I would have thought if you'd seen a kind of oil pattern on the front of Bottas's car because he'd been following him for a number of laps, then maybe it might become an issue. A bit like when Damon Hill won the 96 Australian Grand Prix, and he'd been following Villeneuve for quite some time, and then Villeneuve had an oil leak and just ended up coating Damon's car in oil.
Yeah.
It looked grim. Now, we're not seeing that.
I suppose also the oil is being caught in that rooster tail as well and being flicked pretty high up.
Yeah, it's been atomized, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's a bit disconcerting.
Well, it was throughout the whole race. So is this actual oil burning, or is this just vapor from something, or what?
No, it's actual oil burn, but apparently this is what they used to feed back into the engine to give themselves an extra boost.
Mm.
And because the FIA are cracking down on it now, they have to just kind of feed it out from the back.
Mm. Yeah, it used to go through the exhaust, didn't it? And now it's coming out a different pipe altogether. But surely that can't be a good thing, just evaporating moisture constantly throughout the race.
Who can say? Who can say? You're not seeing any of that on the old Formula E cars, though, I'll tell you that. No, that's true.
And did you see when they were starting the cars in qualifying as well, they would send their exhaust back through a different garage?
Oh, yeah.
So it didn't look like it was their garage, but it's just the garage next door, and there's just massive clouds of Ferrari smoke everywhere. It's like a group of vape fans got together and started vaping at one go. And you're like, oh, no, just stop. So
yeah, I'm sure Kimi would love that, vaping in his garage.
Yeah, it absolutely loved that. So yeah. Yeah, okay, so we mentioned Williams as well. The Red Bulls finishing. That's the second double non-finish of a team this season in 2 races.
Wow.
Talk about bullshit stats.
That is a bullshit stat.
It is a bullshit stat. Do you reckon this will continue? And what team do you reckon it will be?
I was going to say, no team which hasn't failed to finish in the first 2 races has ever won a world championship.
Oh dear. I reckon if it's going to happen to anyone, it's going to happen to Williams. I'm not putting it out there. Well, I am putting it out there, but I'm not putting it for the third column or anything like that. But
No.
that's too bad. And Force India, they were quite obscure, really. I think along with Carlos Sainz as well, they were quite obscure. Most
they
of
weren't
the race.
bad. I mean, Perez ended up finishing 12th, which, considering he was pointing the wrong way at one point, isn't too bad going.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, again, I think until we get to Barcelona in May, they do tend to treat these first few flyaway races more as extended tech sessions, and it kind of kicks off properly then.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I think when we get to Barcelona, that's when the first of the updates will really start coming through, and we'll start seeing where people really are.
Okay, cool. Did you see who dropped the flag at the very end of the race?
It was Gerhard Berger, wasn't it?
Yeah, the most unanimated flag waving I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
I probably just woke him up from his nap.
This guy was supposed to be the prankster of the 90s, wasn't he? Or 80s, 90s. And yet it was just, this flag is really heavy. I'll move it around a little bit.
He was probably sulking. He was probably sulking because he wanted to get out the green flag and let them say, and they're off.
Yeah, the flag on the moon waves more than this. Honestly does.
Put your tinfoil hat away.
Anyway, so shall I run down the race results then?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do the top 10. Winning his 49th Grand Prix was Sebastian Vettel. And half a second behind him, or 0.699 seconds, was Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton came up from 9th to 3rd to finish on the podium, which was good from him. I thought that was a very solid drive from him, so I'm very impressed with that. That was
well done,
excellent.
man. Yes.
Pierre Gasly, as we've already mentioned, he ended up 4th. Kevin Magnussen was 5th. Nico Hulkenberg was 6th. Fernando Alonso ended up in 7th. Stoffel Van Dorn ended up in 8th. Marcus Ericsson, scoring his first points for 50 races, was 9th. And Esteban Ocon was there, scoring the last point for Force India, getting them off the bottom of the scoreboard. So
well done, that man. Yes.
Okay. I will let you do the drivers and constructor standings, if that's all right.
Yeah, sure. Well, in 5th place is Kimi Räikkönen with 15 points. In 4th is Fernando Alonso with 16. In 3rd place is Valtteri Bottas, with 22. Then we have Lewis Hamilton, 2nd place with 33, and Sebastian Vettel out in the lead with 50 points.
Wow.
And on the constructors, well, this is a shock for you. Renault 5th with 15. Red Bull 4th with 20. McLaren 3rd with 22. Mercedes 2nd with 55. And Ferrari 1st with 65.
Right, okay.
I would not have put money on that if you'd asked me before.
No, I might have gone with Ferrari leading it. But McLaren up there so far, up in 3rd? No. I think that would have been like pie in the sky. So
a little bit, yeah.
Well, look, like they're bringing the car home, and that's all the most important thing. I think they felt a bit shortchanged during qualifying, but they get the results at the end of it.
Are you trying to say to finish first you must finish?
I didn't say that cliche, no.
You were thinking it very loudly.
Could you hear that from there?
I could, but remember with McLaren, of course, to finish first you must be finished. You're welcome.
Yeah, whatever. Right, okay. So that wraps up the race. I'm very happy with it, and I want more of this, please. Thank you very much.
Yes, more of this, and we should do, because as I recall, China's typically a good one, but to hell with that, we've got Baku coming up soon.
That's right, yeah. So, with that, I think it leads us down to our predictions from this race and then on to the next race as well.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so do you remember what you put down for last time? I am contractually obliged to ask you.
And I'm contractually obliged to say no.
Okay, cool. Well, you went for pole position, was Hamilton, which was a big fat 0 for you.
Yeah, nil point.
And I went with Vettel, so that is a nice 1 point for me.
1 point. Wow. So matching your hero, taking an early lead in this season.
That's right. And my hero. I'll leave that there. For the race, you said that Hamilton would win. That was another big fat 0.
Nil point.
And for the race, I said Vettel, so I get another point. So
2 points.
I have 2 points. In the third column, it was the Honda to finish on the pin. I don't know if you remember this. Now,
yes.
we didn't have to say who it would be,
no,
but we had to state where it would be.
Yes.
And if it wasn't on the pin, then
didn't count.
It didn't count, and it had to be the highest positioned Honda finisher, which is the Toro Rosso.
Yes.
Okay, so where was the highest finishing Toro Rosso?
That would be 4th place, and I can guarantee neither of us got that.
No. Well, you went with 12th.
Yeah.
And I went with 13th.
Yeah.
Which is annoying.
Our bad.
Because where did Brandon Hartley finish?
That'd be 13th.
Yeah, it would be.
Oh, well. Pierre Gasly ruining your points scoring.
God damn him, scoring him and making me cry a little bit. Not really. Oh, so nil point for either of us on that. So I have, at the end of that round, I have 4 points to your 0 points.
Oh, wow. Everything to play for.
Exactly, yes. I'm taking an early lead. Now, I'm just going back last year. At this point last year, we were tied on 2 apiece.
Wow. I don't think anyone has come back from a 0 point deficit to win a championship in our third column.
Well, in years gone by, and when I say years gone by, I mean last year, if you scored points within the first 2 races, you have gone on to win the battle between us two.
It's true.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying that it will pan out that way. Anyway, no, let's stop this. Okay, right, so... The Chinese Grand Prix.
Yes.
Which is next week.
It is next week. We're on the first of a back-to-back races.
Yeah. Okay, so have you got any information from last year that we could digest?
Well, pole position was Lewis Hamilton. The podium was Lewis from Vettel from Verstappen, with the fastest lap from Lewis. The most wins here has been Lewis with 5, and then Alonso and Rosberg with 2 apiece.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. There you go.
Okay, so who would you like? Because you're losing at the moment. I don't want to rub that in or anything, but you're kind of losing, so you get to choose first.
Am I losing? Well,
yeah.
I think I'll play the broken record here, and I'll take Hamilton.
Hamilton for pole?
Yes.
Okay. I will go... Oh. I'm going to go Raikkonen.
That's a bold move, Corden. Let's see how that plays out for him.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going with Raikkonen. And race win, who are you going to go for?
Statistically speaking, having won it 5 times and largely being due a win this season, I'm going to go with Hamilton again.
You're going with Hamilton as well, yeah. Okay. I'm going to go with Vettel. Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
And in the third column, now... What would you say to the highest placed Red Bull?
Well done for finishing.
Yeah, okay. But in our third column, maybe choosing who you'd like to choose.
Do you want to choose, or should we do another on the pin thing?
Okay, on the pin.
On the pin, yeah.
On the pin. So highest placed Red Bull on the pin, or no points at all, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel a theme going through this year, by the way.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Well, it works so far.
It is, yeah. Okay. All right, then. So who would you like to... Well, where do you think the highest position Red Bull will finish in the next race?
Ooh, I'll go with... second.
Ooh. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go 4th. Red Bull to finish, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And remember, it's the highest placed.
Yep.
And you've got to be on it So if one comes third, neither of us get any points. If one comes fourth and one comes first, you don't get any points. It's whoever was the closest.
Yes, that's
so
correct.
whoever was on it, not who was the closest, who was on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, looking forward to that then.
Oh yes.
Right. Okay, so that is next week. Are you around for recording next week?
I am. I will be grumpy because it's an early race as always, but yeah, other than that, it'll be fun.
Good stuff. Okay, well, thank you to everyone who's listened to us waffling on for the last hour and 10 minutes or so.
Special thanks and apologies to David Coulthard. We love you, really. Not really.
And please check out other shows that we do on rogue2media.com. Yeah, look, you are a podcast listener, so you have a sensible head on you. So yes. Maybe you're looking for other entertainment in the podcasting area. So why not pop along to Rogue2 Media and see if we can hit you up with something you might like. We have Band of Brothers on there. We have From the Earth to the Moon. We have Shonky Lab on there. We've done the X-Files at some point as well. And the great, what's your one called? It's
Derelict.
The Great Derelict.
Yes, says the man who pretends he doesn't know what it is and yet judiciously listens every week. And I appreciate that, it must be said.
Yeah, I do, yeah. And it was, I forget, oh no, it was about First Contact Day. Yeah.
Yes.
See, I do listen. There you go.
Yeah. Or at very least, he reads the blurb. you read the show notes.
I see it as it's downloaded, just so I have a little bit of knowledge. Yes.
Yeah.
Also, pop along to blackdogpodcast.com. That's a film review show as well. So you might, if you like films and like going to see films and like watching crap movies, then you might find something over there as well. There's well over 300 episodes of that. So there's enough to fill your boots. So please pop along there and check out all the other podcasts that we listen to in the show notes as well. You've got Hypnagoria and LSG Media and Danny Davies artwork as well. So please pop along there, check out the show notes and find something to kill an hour of your time. What else is there? Oh, there's Patreon and you can donate to us as well. So just keep the lights on. It goes towards everything that we do at Rogue2 Media. So if you like what you're listening to and you want to chuck us a buck, then please feel free to do so. And yeah, all the details are on the website and on the show notes as well. So please go do that. And one final thing, iTunes reviews. Pop along to iTunes and give us a review. Why the hell not? So until next time, thank you very much, Andy, for this. It's been excellent as always.
You're welcome as always, sir.
Cheers, mate. And we will see you next time in China. So until then, bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
Especially if Octagon's got a problem because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap. So that's going to happen, isn't it?